travel all over the world. I go to many salons, I do many shows, I do many hands-on classes. 10% of people take nice clean sections, if you are completely honest with yourself. And that's one thing that we have to be as hairdressers, completely honest with ourselves. And so, nice clean section, the cleaner your section, the cleaner your work. The cleaner your work, the more consistent your work. I'm going to take my first section, stand on this side, perfect. Take my first section out. I'm going to comb it straight out from the head. Now, I'm a firm tension kind of guy. It doesn't mean that you all have to use firm tension. You could use a lighter tension, but you have to be consistent with your tension. So you can't take one section soft, one section tight. If you're going to do it soft, do all of them soft. If you're going to do it tight, do all of them tight. Small amount of my previously cut section. Create my guideline. I see it right there. Come in and I cut palm to palm. You see though, as you go through and you take these sections, the cleaner your section, the cleaner your work. How many times have you been in the salon, you don't take a clean section, you're trying to take a subsection, and you start grabbing hair from other places, and you have to resection, and you have to resection. It's true, it happens to us all. You can say it doesn't, but I know it does, because it even happens to me sometimes when I get going. And all you're doing is wasting time, really. And we need to speed up our work and be as, what would be the right word to use? That is the perfect word. Who said that? My man, proficient behind the chair. So now her head's starting to round forward. So this is going to be the last section that I pull out from, straight out from her head. All the other sections are going to be over-directed back to this point.
Okay, as you can see, I've got her ponytails all sectioned off, and I've gone through and then I've adjusted. Like I talked about, I want this center back one to be the very lowest ponytail, and then we're going to go a little bit higher, and then into the sides we're going to go even a little bit higher, so that she's got just a nice angle that comes almost like into a V or even a U shape. Okay. My next step, and you always want to make sure that those are even, obviously, is I'm going to go in and I'm going to back comb these ponytails. The reason for the back combing is to give a little bit of a diffusion of color. Like Matt was talking about, you don't want it to look like a hard line. You want it to look like the colors are melting into each other. Would a harder line be wrong? No. But in the ombre effect, we want it to feel like we're going from one color slightly into the next, slightly into the next. So when I'm going in and I'm back combing these ponytails, I'm using, right now I've got a comb in my hand. And what I'm doing is I'm going in and I'm back combing over 50% of this hair. If you feel like you've back combed too much, you've probably back combed enough.
What's the difference in the back combing? Like, let's say I back combed less than 50%. What would my outcome be?
You're going to have more hair that's going to be down here diffused into a different color.
So if I back comb less, I'll get a harder line, and if I back comb more, I'll get a softer line.
Right, because of the diffusion. Now, there's a difference in the back combing, too. Now, think about your Thursday and Friday ladies that Matt was just talking about earlier that come in. I still get them every once in a while.
Oh, I love that.
That want the back combing because they want their style to last until a week from Friday, right?
Hell yeah.
And you're going in and you're back combing, back combing, back combing, back combing. That's not what we want you to do here. If you noticed with my comb when he was talking a little bit ago, I was holding on to the base of her ponytail and I was taking the comb and going, pushing the hair up, pushing the hair up, pushing the hair up. I'm not going in and ratting it, so to speak.
Okay, so we talked earlier about creating a blunt perimeter, right? And we talked about how we don't use our fingers. Now I'm not so worried about that because I'm creating a textured haircut with a textured perimeter. So I'm taking my first section, I'm elevating it straight out from the hair. I'm using my razor ever so lightly just to kind of take off those ends and start to create some texture. I was blessed enough to be in Elle magazine a couple years ago as a beauty genius for razor haircuts. And it's not that my razor haircuts necessarily are that much greater than other people's, but it's how I finish my razor haircuts that make them that much greater than other people's. So all razored haircuts should be finished with a scissor. Always. You go through, dust the ends, dust the little bits that are hanging out, because what that's going to do is it's going to give you better shape, better symmetry, and it's going to cause the haircut to grow out better. Okay? So I'm going to take 1-inch sections. I'm going to work myself up Alina's head shape. And I'm going to actually come in and just almost like we did Elle's hair. Does everyone remember Elle, short-haired model from before? Almost like we did Elle's hair. We're going to come in and actually take pieces out. So, as we do this, I'm going to take a horizontal section. I'm going to take my razor and use it like a pencil. I'm going to come in, turn it to the front, right? So I penetrate the hair, turn it to the front, and lightly move it forward. I go in about 1/2 inch behind that, slightly forward, penetrate the hair, and same thing. So then we come in and you see that we've removed that much hair. My next 1-inch section. Same thing. Taking it straight out. Using my razor like a pencil. And what do you think we're going to get from cutting her hair like this? Texture, right? So that when I go through and I use a little bit of my styling product, I'm going to very easily see the texture that I've created because I've cut enough texture in Alina's hair. And this is a nice way to kind of layer hair with a razor.
We have 7 specific flowers out in nature that never seem to fade no matter what elements they're exposed to, be it wind, rain, heat, or even death. And ironically, those 7 flowers that we have identified encompass our color wheel. We got the reds, the oranges, the blues, all of that. The phytocompounds are extracted from those flowers, and that is what is in our hair color. So not only does our hair color and our developers have the keratin healing system, which is protecting your hair and giving back the minerals and the moisture and the proteins, the amino acids that are essential to the vibrancy of our hair, but we've also got the anti-fade that's going to protect your hair color from fading out in the sun. We've got the triple UV protection. Our wet line has the thermal protection. So we believe in healing, sealing, and protecting the hair. We believe in the beautiful, healthy hair lifestyle. So that is what is our point of difference with our color system.
Shiny, happy hair.
Shiny, happy hair.
You know, we're starting off this short haircut the same way we started our graduated haircut. So this goes back into that whole conversation that we had in the beginning about how you can mix and match the different shapes that we're putting on people's head. So when we start, we take a nice angular clean section, and instead of over direction on the short haircut, I'm going to work that graduation from hairline to hairline. And just keep on working that through, taking my 1-inch sections, small amount of my previously cut section as my guide, just so that I can start to create a nice head shape. Then I'm going to go through, separate this top section, and we're actually going to come in and start to work some texture on Elle's hair, but we're going to do it wet as opposed to dry. And so we're going to take vertical sections after we make our nice clean partings. Perfect. Okay, we're going to take vertical sections straight out from the head. I'm going to set my shear in there. I'm going to open and close ever so slightly and work myself up the section. So I'm going to work myself from short to long. And what I've done then is, if you look, I've created texture. How often is it that you grab a product, let's say, for example, I'm selling products today. I'm in your salon, right? I dropped them off a week ago. You said you'd try them. You did. And you're like, yeah, everything's pretty good. But, you know, the shave putty didn't give me enough texture in my haircut. Have we said that before? No one said that before? I've said it before. Right. Did you cut enough texture in your haircut? These are styling products. They're not texture products. Okay? These enhance what you have done. So if you do not put a good foundation on there and you do not cut enough hair and texture into your haircut, then of course the shave putty didn't give you enough texture. Does that make sense? So that's something to think about. It's never the product's fault. It's usually the operator's fault. So if you're looking for nice, piecey, strong texture, you need to cut strong texture. Is a thinning shear going to give you strong texture? No. Is a thinning shear going to give you texture, or is it just going to thin the hair out? It's just going to thin the hair out for the most part. They're two totally different things, and we'll talk about texture on long hair and other things later. But if you don't cut enough texture to begin with, you're not going to be able to achieve the kind of texture you want with the product. These are professional tools made for us, so we need to use them properly, and learn how to use them, because it's very easy to take a 1 and go like this and then switch it to a 3 on top, or whatever the case may be. I don't even know the lingo with guards because I've never used one. But to do it with this is much more professional. We're trying to reach the utmost level of profession behind the chair. And like was talked about by Kelly earlier, we are trying to differentiate ourselves from the rest of the crew. Okay, so just like hair cutting, if I take the clipper and I use it vertically, what kind of look am I achieving? Exactly, a softer look, a leaner look. So when you're clipper cutting, we use horizontals to remove weight. So what I like to do is I like to work my guideline on the top. So I set up my guideline horizontally, and then I come from the bottom, work myself in vertical so that it's softer and so that I don't leave lines, and I bring it up to reach my guard. Another thing also that is important that people don't really think about, because time is money behind the chair, right? So I'm working through here in my vertical still. And I'm working myself up. And what that does is that just starts to blend it all and make it very soft for me. And it keeps my job a lot easier. How many people start in the middle back of the head when they do a clipper cut? A lot of people. How many times have you gotten through a clipper cut and then the client is like, yeah, can you just take it a little bit shorter? If you start on the right, I'm right-handed, so if I start on the right and work myself to the left, it's very easy to be like, okay, is this good? We're golden? All right. Work ourselves through. If I'm left-handed, I would start on the left. That's just how I roll. But that's not going to change, make or break your haircut, but it's just a little tip from me to you, because it will save you a lot of time. Now, this triangle that you're going to see, we use the blush and the triangle, right? Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes.
Is Kelly there? Kelly?
Yes.
Are you there? Okay. So the blush and the triangle are both techniques used from Kelly.
The Beauty Is. Tomboy Chic.
There you go. Tomboy Chic. So you can see we're still being able to use that, but the blush is actually from a different collection. What collection, Kelly?
Watercolors.
There you go. The watercolors, which is in our color concepts as well. But you can see too how much more control I have with my comb than if I'm just holding it on the side. So I can work faster through. And when I'm working with a clipper, I'm also holding it like a handshake, right? So I'm going to set my shear in the hair that I just cut. You see that? And then I'm going to come up in here into my section and slightly open and close my shear. So I salvage all that length, but what I'm doing is that I'm creating a small connection from the underneath. And what that will do is it will keep it from looking like just like heavy little dog ears hanging over the top, right? Over direct the front back. Since this haircut is all about texture and nothing more, and she wears this haircut, so we're refreshing her haircut. I don't need to do any wet. When's the last time I cut your hair wet anyway? It's been forever. Like, we just don't cut it wet anymore. It's because it's all about pure texture. So even in the salon, she'll have it washed and then we'll dry it and then we'll cut it like this, as opposed to cutting it when it's wet. Because you don't want to remove too much of that great texture that we spent all this time creating. So again, I just work out from the scalp, so you still have all that length, but we've created some shorter bits underneath to give us our connection. Now, this is something that I'm in love with. Did anyone watch the Grammys? No one watched the Grammys? We're hairdressers, man. We need to keep up on this business. So, at the Grammys, there were a lot of women wearing pompadours. And I'm big into it. Like, I love it. So this can be worn, obviously, a lot more messy. But I also love this little pompadour look, especially with that beautiful splash of color that Kelly put in there of the blush. Nice color, Kelly. So this is Ashley. What we're going to do